Oh my God, I ruined my entrance. What's up, everyone? Welcome back. I was muted. Such a big failure. Does that mean I need more coffee? Thanks, Wesley. And thanks, Code with Sean. Nice shirt, I know, right? I wish JP was here to sit playing homage to my good friend. Yeah. YAML. So if you play with YAML, then you know what I'm talking about. If you're not a YAML fan, then you can get a t-shirt like this. But I have nothing against YAML. I use it for GitHub Actions, and therefore I'm just messing. I was going to repeat my entrance. What's up, everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another 45 Show stream. Whether you're on the 45 Show channel or whether you're on the Microsoft Developer, thank you for joining us. It's an exciting day. Hi, Domi4102. Am I missing Domi4102? Does 4102 translate to something that I can't catch because I'm too old? Gen next year, you know? Getting older every day. But in saying that, I'm trying to stay fit and healthy. I did run my first half marathon this weekend and it went better than I expected. It was below 2 hours. Happy times on Bolt. Hey, Bruce. Nice to see my friends back here again. I think Bruce definitely had joined because this stream is dedicated to him. Ooh, it's just where I live in Belgium. Oh, nice. Nice one, Domi. Well, thanks for joining us from Belgium. So I've got two monitors. I changed things around. And oh, thanks, man. Thanks, Sean. It was a good half marathon. And well, I hope I didn't get it wrong, Bruce, but I think you asked for TypeScript and you asked for Azure Functions. That's what we're doing today. The Netherlands here, yes, represent. I'll be there. If everything goes well, and if we don't have any, any unfortunate news with COVID, and things go back to a certain normality, I'll be in Europe in May for the Tekorama conference. I've been accepted to do 2 sessions here. JavaScript is okay, says Bruce. Can I drop a link to an upcoming user group? Of course you can do that, Sean, you know that. Absolutely, anytime, all the time. Share the love. And make sure to drop it on Discord. Discord link is up here, right? And then if you don't, if you're not on Discord, then make sure to join us because this is where all the fun things are happening. Oh, look at that! Code with Sean is already on the trigger. How can I learn to manage all possible case errors I can have with API endpoints? I think the best way you can do it is through looking at what other APIs do for you. You can have certain scenarios, I suppose, unauthenticated, unauthorized. If we're talking about security, then you can have too many requests if somebody's trying to, DDoS you, so you need to throttle that. You can have too early, 45 HTTP represent. It can be something that somebody trying to call back into an endpoint and the operation is not completed. I would say look at all the HTTP error codes and then figure the ones for your scenario, Domi. I think that will be the best one. So there should be lots of links out there that show you how to work with HTTP errors. And I would say you can't cover all the scenarios. You probably want to cover for the most popular ones or for the ones that make sense for your API. That's where I would start. I hope that was helpful. So anyway, we're talking about APIs. We're building APIs again. Why not? APIs are so popular these days. Apparently build them and they will come. And last week we covered Python. If you want to see that, make sure to catch our YouTube channel. And I need to start making more quality videos around these. I know that an hour of streaming and listening to me doing things is probably not as productive. So we'll try to reduce the amount and take them down to 10 minutes with all the juicy bits there. Struggle with a guard test when my manager is behind me. I don't know what I need to say when he asks me what is the problem here. I feel the pain. I totally feel you. But as long as you have enough test coverage on your APIs or on your code, then it should speak for itself. And if there are problems, you need to look into them and say, I don't know right now. I have to look into that and get back to you. Nobody knows all the answers, and unless you debug your code dummy, it's very hard to know exactly what the problem is, especially if it's something new. Unit testing, integration testing definitely helps with getting an idea about where things may be failing. But it could be something like an overload on the server, which has nothing to do with your code, but the server is not in a position to serve your requests, or it doesn't scale fast enough. Therefore, there's lots of things to investigate, and in some cases, it's not always code. You have to look into that. I don't know all the answers, right? I have to look into them. In some cases, I have to learn new things. YAML, yelling at my laptop all the time. That's my half a day, and then the other half a day I'm trying to celebrate my wins. Hey, thanks for following Simming Matthew. Matthew with 1 T. I'm learning every day, but I appreciate the follow and the love. Thank you for joining us. Make sure to follow us on Discord as well. Right, so last week we did Python, and then as I was doing that, Bruce came back and said, how about JavaScript? Show us some JavaScript love. And that was a good excuse for me to come up with a Node.js, TypeScript, Azure function, and see how we can secure it with Azure Active Directory. I'm gonna share my screen and we're gonna start coding. And as we go through, let me know if you have any more questions or if you want to learn about something else with regards to Azure and security and identity and what have you. Now, this is gonna be a very basic HTTP function that will be called from a client, and that client can be anything. It can be a desktop app, can be a mobile app, it can be a web app, or it can be a REST client like Postman or whatever other tool you want to use. And as long as that request has an authenticated header, an authenticated token, then it should be able to call our API. We also make the assumption, although we'll work around that for a bit, as I was thinking the scenarios yesterday, that we're not handling the authorization ourselves. We'll let Azure Functions do it through EzAuth. So instead of us doing the validation of the token, all we're going to do for the first part is look into the claims and then maybe validate something like, I don't know, the access, the scope, because EzAuth will not look into the scope. And then for the second scenario, I thought, what about if we do not use EzAuth and we want to do the validation ourselves, like validate the incoming token and then look at the claims as well and do a little bit more check. So one of them is offloading to EzAuth. If you don't know about EzAuth, is a service or a feature for Azure Web Apps and Azure Functions that does authentication authorization for you, mainly authentication. And then your code doesn't have to worry about how the incoming calls or whether the incoming calls are authenticated or not. They will be stopped at the gate. Let me share my screen and let's get started. So first and foremost, now I had problems this morning with zooming in my monitor. So let me know if you can see this. We are going to be building Azure Functions with TypeScript, and you can do it through, also it changes here, you can do it through Visual Studio Code if you want, or you can do it through the command line. I will follow the command line, but if you have the extension for VS Code, you can use that one as well. There's a very nice walkthrough. There are some caveats, as I learned yesterday as I was looking into this one. There are prerequisites, so you need to have an Azure account, you need to have the Azure Function core tools installed. Version 4 is the ideal one. Hey, Almost Alcoholic. Hello, that's a lovely handle. Almost Alcoholic. Like just at the end. Zoom in the browser works. Okay, good. Thanks for letting me know, Phil Snubble. And then you also have to have the Azure CLI. That is mainly for deploying and spinning up services on Azure, not for running locally. You don't need that. Or Azure PowerShell. I don't know why they need PowerShell and Azure CLI. I don't know what they're doing later on, deploying, invoking the functions or whatever. Or maybe for invoking the function with Azure PowerShell, I guess. And then finally, you need Node. Very important, you need Node 14 or 16 preview. Why does it say preview? I don't know, because 16 is LTS and is there for a while. User story driven threat modeling on March 10th. You can't put that link on the Microsoft Developer Zone because they don't allow links. You're not powerful enough yet. Yeah, in general, they don't allow You can set it on the, maybe I can set it, let me see. Maybe I can do it. Should I try? I think I can try. Let me see, Sean. Oh, mine works, there you go. So if you want to join or check Sean's user group on the 10th, then this is the link to the meetup. Always fantastic speakers there, always fantastic sessions, and not because I've been there, but because Sean is running a fantastic user group. So going back, Node 16 or Node 14, you cannot run Node 17 as I was running. Why did I want to run Node 17? Because Node 17 now includes the Fetch API, which is built into Node. So if you are looking to do API calls or any URL, hit any URL, the Fetch API is now a part of Node, but it's part of Node 17. So as I was testing that, I was upgrading. Luckily, there is an NVM that allows you to switch between versions, although that didn't seem to work for me because I had 17 and I wanted to downgrade to 16. I tried to install 16 and then said, oh, I can't do that because I found 17. Therefore, I had to uninstall Node 17, which was a bummer, but I will go back to that. And then the other prereqs that we will see, although it doesn't really affect you as much, is that you have to have .NET 6, .NET Core 6 or .NET 6. You can't have .NET 7, and because I like to live dangerously, I had .NET 7, and as you will see, it throws some weird error messages. I reached out to the team and we raised the bug, so they are getting ready for .NET 7. In the meantime, we'll see some weird error messages coming up, but it's fine, it still works. Just be aware that this is a prereq. They don't say here that you need to have .NET Core installed, so I think we need to add that as a prereq for people that want to run locally, by the way. And let's check our versions. Again, I will have to zoom in here because it is a little bit small, and then we'll put them side by side so we can see what we're doing while we're doing it. There you go, that's a beauty. First, we need to check the Funk version. We got the latest 4.0, which is good. And then we need to check the AZ version, which, we have the latest, I think. So we should be okay. Everyone has .NET Core installed. Assumptions. Fuel snubble. But I would love for everyone to have .NET Core installed and working with them. I upgraded all our projects to .NET 6. Awesome. How did that go? Was it flawless? Was it easy? Did you find any problems? I think the biggest transition is going from full .NET to .NET Core. Once you do that, then they've made a really good, smooth upgrade process for us. And then AZ login, we're already signed into Azure. Oh, we have 2 updates. Ooh, AZ upgrade. I'm not gonna kick it now because it takes a few seconds or a few minutes to run. It's running Python and this does some things in the background, so it could be a while. Well, except I missed to upgrade to Functions App to version 4. Yeah, you should upgrade your core tools to that. Azure Function Core Tools, that's the full name. Okay, let's do Func init. Func, let's clear that so we can have Func init. We'll call it local, or we can say node function with AAD. And then we'll say TypeScript. I like TypeScript. Who doesn't like TypeScript? It makes JavaScript more digestible. As a .NET developer, I like it. And then we need to change directory to node function with Azure Active Directory. And last week we used B2C. We used the consumer accounts. This time we're using Azure Active Directory, but the main code segments should be exactly the same. The only thing changing would be configuring your EzAuth or your token validation, as we will see in a bit. And with that, we can actually open it in code. And I know this will be small, so we'll make it bigger. Yes. When you zoom in, and then so now Azure Functions. See, now it's going to be missing all the settings for edit settings, enable function, encrypt settings, redeploy. I don't want to do all these. I wonder if I close and open again, will it pick it up? Because it creates the launch file, it creates everything else. Did I say don't ask again or something like that? And then it will never do it for me. Oh. No. Okay, I don't want that. Oh, that's a pity. We'll have to manually do it, which is not fun. But anyway. Anywho. Oh my God, our very good friend Jeff just rated us. And funny because I'll be talking to Jeff in about 2 hours for some cool stuff that he's building. But in the meantime, welcome friends. Welcome everyone. I love raids. Thank you for joining us. I don't know, what were you working on? We are building TypeScript and Node.js functions with Azure Functions, and we're trying to secure them with Azure Active Directory. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I hope Node.js is along the lines of what you guys like to work with, and we're just about to start writing some code. We're assuming that EzAuth will be there to secure our endpoints, and therefore all the things that we have to do with regards to authentication will be handled for us. All we have to worry about is looking at the claims in the token. And Roberto Ball says, I love Node. Of course you love Node. Who doesn't love Node? Node and .NET Core these days are so similar in how they do things, especially with the minimal APIs that make them look so consistent. Somebody hates code. Pyrocats hates code. It's fine. What we're showing here are more or less applicable to .NET Core. So certain principles will be there as well. But I feel you, Pyrocat. It's not for everyone, you know. My poison is .NET Core as well. Roberto Balls is here. It's super exciting. Phil Snubble says Node loves my SSD. What's Node? Node is the .NET equivalent in the JavaScript world. So it's a framework that allows you to run APIs and web apps using JavaScript. So Node.js is a JavaScript framework that provides you with some tooling like routing and caching and all these things that a framework is supposed to provide you. So unless you want to write everything in JavaScript, Node.js is a server-side component, exactly like ASP.NET that runs on the server and serves requests or UIs. And then you can use things like Express or Angular or React to build the UI on top of everything else. Node is what everyone will use in 10 years from now when there will be nothing except JavaScript. Oh, come on, Fuel Snapple, that is a bold statement. If that was 6 years ago, just before .NET Core came out, I would say yes. I would say absolutely Node and Python hands down. But with .NET Core, things have changed quite a bit. I was almost a convert to .NET to Node. Like I was going to stop doing it because Node was picking up so much around 2015, and then .NET Core came out. So what's the difference between .NET Core and .NET Framework? That is a great question, Majami GD. The main difference is that the .NET Framework is much larger. It is tied to Windows only, so it's Windows only. It is not open source, although there is .NET Mono. And so it's not open source, it's not cross-platform, it's tied to Windows, and also it is tied to the operating system, therefore, or it has like weird installations. You can't have side-by-side .NET Framework installations. Every time you upgrade your .NET Framework, it takes over and what have you. System Free says it's not only on Windows. .NET Core runs everywhere. .NET Framework runs only on Windows. So .NET Core is where you want to be. And .NET Core allows you to build desktop, mobile, it allows you to build anything. You know, microcontrollers like Raspberry Pis, it can run on TVs, it can run on phones, it can run on iPhones, yeah, Xamarin or Maui. It can run everywhere. So you can use .NET Core to build it everywhere. .NET Framework was the old way of doing things, and it was very rigid, not flexible. You had to use IIS if you wanted to serve web apps. You can run your own web server. Now with .NET Core, it's a lot more pluggable. You can do a lot more things. So yeah, it does make a big difference there. Can I block somebody? Can I? Oh man, I don't have the ability to block. I need to speak to the team, because on the Microsoft developer channel, we have people dropping junk. So yeah, Majami JD, that's the big difference. You get to play around with .NET and run it anywhere. You can build on Mac OS, you can build on Linux, you can target on these things as well. Whereas with .NET Framework, you only had limitations on Windows. Here's just me dropping junk. What kind of junk are you dropping, Phil Snubble? I think you were just talking shit, right? You just want to make a statement there. But Node is very flexible. Oh, he's got a documentation. Create first-time functions, TypeScript. Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Oh, somebody was asking about where the link is from. I didn't see that. Hey, thanks for the follow, VQBear. I hope you're good. I appreciate all the follow and all the love, guys. So we just have the code. Oh, who was asking? Who was asking? I was asking. Bruce was asking about the link. Sorry, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. So many comments here. Yeah, and thanks for everyone for joining us this morning. We're just about to start writing some code. So we created the cell, we created the Azure Function app, but we don't have the function yet. So we need to write some code for that. And the easiest way to create a function is to use the command line again. So if we bring the command line, we can say func new dash name. We'll say secure HTTP, and then we don't want to have an auth level there because we want the incoming request to be anonymous. We expect people to authenticate in a UI before they call our API. That's the expectation. They also need to get an access token to call our API. And now we have our function over here, which doesn't do much other than say, send me a name. Yeah, on the Microsoft developer, we definitely need a mod, but the problem is that I am not a mod on the Microsoft developer channel. I need to speak to the team. So this function, what does it do? It says an incoming request comes in, then we're looking for the name either in the query in the parameters or in the body, and then we respond back saying, hey, you called me, hello, whatever your name is. Or if there's nothing, we'll say, well, we triggered the function, but there was no name in the query string, and then we respond back with that message. Therefore, we need to run it. Now, this is the comments over here. The first thing we need to run it is to do npm install. And unlike the other ones where you like .NET or Python, where we say func host start, here you can't do that. You have to actually use the npm commands. Install. So this will install the dependencies in the same way that .NET Core installs all the dependencies, and it added all the necessary dependencies, all the packages that we need, and then npm start. npm start, it's running, it's building, it's compiling our TypeScript, and eventually we should see no error messages. So no error messages, everything is running, our endpoint is here, so let's call it. Let's call it and see what happens. It is a post request, so we can use the browser for this. And if we run it, we should see that it got executed. We see the comments, and we didn't pass a name, and therefore it didn't find anything, but we can change it and say name equals 45. With that, we change the execution path, and now there's a name in the parameters, and it actually called us back. Perfect, we have a working local solution. Hey, thanks for following Radio Signal. Appreciate the love. I hope you're enjoying the show. Here now, it's all running. What do we have to do next? Well, we said we want to make sure that incoming calls have an authentication header and that we can look into the claims. For that, Node provides you with a library called JSON web token npm. This is the library. This is the library that allows you to interact with JSON web tokens. It also allows you to verify those tokens and make them work. So this is perfect over here. Let's go and install it. I'm going to stop the function from running. Look at that awful error message. I think this has to do with .NET 7 being there. And it just throws a weird exception. So here we want to install our JSON Web Token library. And since we are working with TypeScript, we also want to install the types so we can get IntelliSense and IntelliCode working. And usually that's npm install. We want to do save and then add types and JSON, not that JSON Web Token. Not JSON the name. Not JSON the name. Great topic. Is it possible to watch the videos again later? Absolutely, Radio Signal. You can watch all our videos on our YouTube channel. So if I say YouTube, there you go. ak.ms 4to5show YouTube, or search for 4to5show on YouTube and you will find us. This now has installed the necessary packages. Let's see how npm or how JSON Web Token works. You can sign, so you can also create JSON VURIs. There's a JSON. This was a JSON. Some guy on IMDb. I remember I saw Hanselman doing a talk somewhere maybe 2 years ago, where he was like, you know, every time I think about JSON, all I think about is that JSON guy from IMDb, and he compares that. Yeah. Also available on Twitch's video on demand. That's absolutely right, Bolt. The video will be available for you for 30 days on video on demand, and then it goes away. Friday the 13th in real life, if I remember correctly. Oh, that JSON you mean? Ooh, I see. Okay, so this library can do a lot more than just looking at the claims. You can sign tokens, therefore you can create your own JWT tokens. You can verify those tokens, which is the important bit that we need to do. And then you can decode them, which is exactly what we want to do. But now notice here that it says you need to pass a secret. Here, you need to be able to pass a secret. Later on, we'll look at also how we can use the JWKS client to retrieve the authentication header. JSON always reminds me of that game Heavy Rain, when you're looking for your son in the supermarket shouting JSON. Yeah, I'm not up to date with that game, but thanks, Bolt. So we need to decode the token. That's all we need to do, and that's the easiest thing. The token comes in the header, and then all we have to do is, I want to check out the 4to5show site, but Cloudflare is down. Really? Cloudflare is dead? No. Are we getting a message from the Cloudflare? ak.ms. No. You know, we have a new website. It's 4to5.show web. And that doesn't have Cloudflare yet. Oh, are you talking about the other one where we did for... This is our website. Look at that. You can actually see us live. I wrote that code. This one actually streams on our website right now. There you go. But I guess you're talking about the proper 4to5show.com. Oh my God, this is stopped. Oh, Cloudflare is not down. Yeah, sorry, that's absolutely right. Our website is down. It's stopped. I don't know why it stops. Somebody crashes it. Can you add STI and what? Oh my God, there's like lots of spam coming on the Microsoft developer channel. Sorry for that, friends. That's insane. Okay, yeah, we'll fix that. I need to restart the website. I don't know why it's down. If you were talking about that one, then yes. Or are you talking about 4to5show.dev, our older website, 4to5show.dev? I think you're talking about this one. Yes. Oh my God. Your requested page and Cloudflare is currently unable to resolve your requested domain. I think we broke something here. No, 45so.dev is our old website, which we need to repoint to 45so to 45.show.web, which currently resolves as an Azure website because we haven't fixed it. And this stream has definitely taken an interesting turn. And this is our current website. We'll fix the URL points and DNSs, so apologies for that. We're in a process of rebranding and doing things, so you have to wait. But I appreciate it a lot. And you can also catch us on Discord, right? Okay, so we have the function running, we have the JWT. Oh, did I close the NPM stuff? Oh, I closed it. Fine, JSON Web Token NPM. So we just want to, you're welcome, Beerchag. Thanks for following. That's awesome. I appreciate the love. Look at that. Okay, so we just want to decode the token without really doing any checks. Because, as I said, at this point, we know that the token has been passed into our API because EzAuth will do that hard part. So let's do import star as JWT from JSON Web Token. It's scary how Copilot is doing this for me, isn't it? Then I'm going to take all this junk out. I don't want names in there. Okay, then we'll say const token, but it's not right. Split, is it? Yes. So the auth header will come in this format. It will be authorization, the first part, and then the next value will be comma, and then it will be bearer, and there will be a space, and then it will be our weird token, right? So we want to capture this. So we're saying, get me this header. This is what the first part is doing. And then we want to split the value in the space. Okay, that's what we're doing here. And then we want to grab this bit. That's the one, the index. So we grab the second element in the array and we're passing it back to our token. So that's our string, it's a string. So now we want to decode it. At this point, we also assume that there is we know that there is an auth header because it's been passed by our Azure function. EzAuth will make sure that this happens. Otherwise, it will send a 401 or a 403 back to the client. And now we want it to be decoded. So const decoded. This is exactly what we have here is, we don't want to validate decoded. It will be jwt.decode. And then we just need to pass the token. Complete. What does complete mean? This is very important. So if I open this, you know what it says? It's in the docs. So does it say here? Complete. Return. This is too small for you to see as I can understand. It says return an object with a decoded payload and header. So it will have the header, the signature, and the body all there for us. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? And then in here, what you could do is you could say var, you know what, let's just return this one back. So in the response body, what we're gonna do is say json.stringify, and then we're gonna pass the decoded back. And I don't need semicolon there because I'm a little bit of a muppet. Semicolons, JavaScript, Node, and .NET. Okay, this now should work. If we run it, it would expect a header. And because we're not running on Azure yet, we'll pass the auth header as is. So let's run this. No, it's not .NET. See, npm start. This one is running, and then we'll use our client to call it. And I use Thunder Client. That's my favorite version. Last week we had a friend on a Friday. So this is the one I was telling you about. Because we're running under .NET 7, it just throws a weird error message and you freak out and like, oh my God, it's broken, but it's not. It's still working. It's running down here. You can see, can you see it? You can see it, okay. It's running down here. It's all working and running. So I can leave this here, and then I can expand this. You can do it. Perfect. I need more space so you can see what I'm doing. And then here's our function. Let's change it to say, what are we running? What's the URL here? It's secure HTTP. Interesting thing now. I have an old token. This token is definitely expired. It was from yesterday as I was playing around. But I can still call the function. And we can still get everything. Why did it work? Can somebody tell me? Does anybody know? Why did the function run fine? Even though it's an expired token. Anyone? Bueller? I need a sound cloud for that. Or I need some sounds to play. Although people say that they don't like sounds on the stream. Well, no, not easy login, Bruce. The reason why it worked is because our function is not smart. It doesn't do anything clever. All it does, it says, hey, do you have an authorization header somewhere? Let me decode it. And therefore, it will allow any token to be passed in. Any token for any audience, for any scope, it will run. Fuel Snabble is the one. It's all because of Fuel Snabble. If you don't hear sounds, it's because of Fuel Snabble. I'm not blaming you. I'm just kidding. Maybe I will add them. The problem is that I can't add them here because I'm using Restream, but I should be able to add them through OBS. And we may be changing back to OBS. I'll see. Anyway, we have our function, right? This one is working as expected. I would say that this does 90% of what it's supposed to be doing. Do you agree? But remember, EzAuth will only do the first part, which is validating the incoming token. It will say it hasn't expired, it is for the right audience, but in the function, we also have some responsibility to check for scopes or things that shouldn't be there, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a little bit of code to look into the claims. In effect, we'll say, I also want to check the scope. So the first part is important, we should keep it there. The second part is decoding and looking at that. And because usually we have to do something with the token, right? In that case, we can say, well, we expect some kind of const expected scope equals, should we do underscore? I don't know, should we do underscore? Scope equals, nah, you don't have me. Expected scope, it should be an array because we can have multiple scopes expected here. And then we can do double quotes and say, oh, what is the scope here? Let's see. The scope here is access as user. I'm reusing stuff. If you want to see how we set it all up, check last week's stream with the Python bits. Although I should create a YouTube video explaining how to do it. And we have all these automated as well through .NET runbooks or notebooks. That's the expected scope. That's what we expect to see in the token. And then what we're going to do is grab the payload, right? Because remember here we got everything. We got the, it's too much here. So we have the header, we have the payload, so we need to get the payload, and then we have the signature. So instead of getting everything, I'm just gonna grab the payload. And then we're going to say, oh my God, isn't that insane? Isn't that insane? That's insane. I'm telling you. If decoded, see, it doesn't know that. It doesn't know that. So what we could do is do something like SCP. But this also doesn't work because SCP or the scope can be a space delimited it has to be a space delimited value. So we should say const token scopes. Let's keep it consistent. Scopes equals decoded.scp, because that's the value in the token. Remember, SCP down here. That's what I want to do. That if token dot scopes equals undefined, we can return, oh my god, yeah, I keep on forgetting. We can raise an error message. It's very valid that you could have a token that is missing scopes because somebody has not consented, and therefore it will be missing. And therefore, if they are missing, we should be checking about that. And then since we do have the scopes now we can say token scopes underscore scopes include expected scope. And we can also do a loop saying for multiple scopes, blah, blah, blah. Then we should do something like, you know what? Just raise the error message. If it doesn't include them, then raise the error message. So we need a let error, you can say string. See, we are using TypeScript in the way we're supposed to be. Oh, you know what? No, it's a Boolean. Boolean equals false. We'll default to false, and then we want to return something. So let response string, and then here we'll say error equals true, and then response authorization and type error no SCP claim found in token. Hi, can we have a session showing upgrade of MVC 5 .NET App migration to ASP.NET Core MVC? Sahil, probably, although that is something that we covered a few times before. Not in that specific setup, but I think we went from full framework to .NET Core. No, we upgraded from ADAL to MSAL. I don't know, I'll have to see if I have enough time to look into that. Otherwise, I would encourage you to reach out to our .NET support. I think this should be able to help you out. And I know that you reached out to us on Discord. You have quite a few things there that are taking place. Like you have third-party auth and random OIDC, like generic OIDC auth. So we need a specific scenario to cover, and then I'll see if I can find some time to do that. But thanks for reaching out, man. Really appreciate it. And then in here, if it doesn't have the right one, we want to raise an error message. So here we're saying we found the scope, but the scope is not the right scope, or the ones that we expected for our API. And therefore, authorization or token does not contain the required scope. Okay, so we found one, but it doesn't have the right thing. Just a note, in the claim you're taking can also be in a claim called scope. But in this instance, you know it's always going to be SCP. That's absolutely right. It does depend on your identity provider. Both Azure Active Directory and Azure Active Directory B2C will return an SCP in the claims. But you're right, it can be no SCP or scope claim found in token. So if you are working with other identity providers, that's what you need to do. And thanks for following Athaniel. I was able to get that on the Microsoft Developer channel. Much appreciated. And therefore, if everything is well, so what we're gonna do here is you can say status error you have a typo there, error. Oh, I do. Where is it? Where's my typo? Oh, here. Yeah, thanks. Look at that. Teamwork. Status will say error error. So it will be, if there is an error, then we want to throw in 403, otherwise we'll return 200. Because that means that we did have an issue. Then comma, and then we need to change the response. So if there's an error, again, if error, then we can say response else JSON stringify. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, because it's running on npm and it's not because it's so clever, it actually recompiled and restarted the function app. So all we have to do now is call it from here, send, and that worked. Now you'll also notice that it returned just the payload, not the whole thing, because when we decode it, we said only grab me the payload, so the decoder only includes that. To test if our authorization works, we'll change the expected scope to be this. The function will restart behind the scenes, and now we can call it again, and now it should fail. Aha! Token does not contain the required scope. There you go. That's your validation here that incoming calls should have the right expected scope. And this is where authorization takes place. You can also be looking for audience, but audience is already been checked by EzAuth. And therefore you don't have to, oh, I have 2 error messages here. Look at that. And then if there was a token that did not include the scope, then it would barf as well. So that bit works perfectly. Now I did say that there's another part here. What would happen if we were to create a Node.js API that did not rely on EzAuth? We would have to do all the checks ourselves, right? We have to write the code. And traditionally, in many cases, what you can get is, if we go back here, you could use MSAL, right? Well, traditionally, we would recommend that you use MSAL. MSAL.js or MSAL Node is the Microsoft Authentication library that works with Azure Active Directory. And if you didn't know that, we do actually have an MSAL for Node. It's been out there for a while. I don't know if it's still in preview, but it's definitely in version 1.7. So we've moved up in versioning. And since it's not 0 point something, I suspect it's not preview anymore. The problem with MSAL Node is that it only does authentication. It doesn't do authorization. It doesn't allow you to validate. Music is got distribution. Thunder Client, it is an extension. Yeah, it is a VS Code extension. Go and download it. I love it. It does all the magic for me. And it's portable. It's with VS Code all the time. It's also available when you run in, will this work? I guess. Let's do an example here. Public client. Oh, no, I did not want to do that. I wanted to go to the samples. Do they have any samples? Usage samples. Okay, if you go here, and then if you press dot, did you know that? You press dot, it opens the editor. And then in here, if you authenticate, then it will bring down Thunder Client as well. How would you validate if you used MSAL? Exactly. That's exactly right. What, dude, this is a lot of stuff. So I'm not signed in, I think. If I do sign in, it will actually allow me to bring my extensions down. So it works flawlessly. So Sahil is asking, Roberto was asking, how would you validate if you're not using MSAL? You can validate your token with MSAL. It's weird. In .NET we do it, in Node we don't. Yeah, I know. It's messed up. So you use an open source library. That's what you would do. And there's a very nice library that does it for you. It is called JSON Web Token for Node. Nice, right? So let's go and spin up another function. So let's stop this one. Yes. And then in here, we're gonna do func new name, but we're gonna call this validate access token. So we will do the whole thing ourselves. Another function, we don't want to mix them up. However, this technically should not be in the same function app, because if your function app is already doing EzAuth, then this code doesn't add any value. However, we're assuming that you have a different function that doesn't have EzAuth or app service authentication as they call it now, and therefore we're gonna pretend that we're running that code ourselves. That is mainly for your benefit. Cool? Okay, let's do this. Go back into our VS Code, and then let's close this one, and then we want to be in here. So too many index files, obviously that's confusing. I always open the wrong thing. We already have JWT, so we need to bring it in. Import star from as JWT from JSON Web Token. Thank you, Copilot, for being my Copilot. Rock and roll. But now we also need an extra library, because if we go back to the documentation here, you will notice that for verifying the tokens, we need to have information about the secret. In fact, you need to pass the algorithm, you need to pass either a cert or a secret, and we don't have that. And we shouldn't have that. We're using public-private authentication, or public key to sign those tokens. And therefore, those keys are not available to us, but they are easily accessible. The public keys can be accessed through a well-known endpoint. For Azure Active Directory, that endpoint is something like, it is a well-known endpoint. Let me see, what is the endpoint? I'm just trying to think that I don't want to jump onto, so we do have a well-known endpoint. Actually, let's open adportal.azure.com. Eventually we'll have to do that, right? And then I need to sign in with this account. This is my developer tenant. If you don't have the developer tenant, I would urge you to go and get it. It's the Microsoft 365 developer tenant. I'll need to zoom in here because you can't see it. And then if I jump into one app registration and then we click on endpoints, there is a well-known configuration to grab most of these things. So let's go here. And then it says JWKS. Is that big enough? That's big enough. Okay, cool. So here we have the JWKS URI. This is where you can find the keys that are used to sign things. Hey, Napalm684, thanks for joining us. So for this specific environment, the keys are going to be here. And if I click on that, and then these keys are rotated and they change and they stay secure. These are the keys that are used to sign those tokens. Thanks for following, Ahmed Dev, that's awesome. Thank you, thanks for the love, appreciate it. So these are all the keys that you need to use. And therefore, when we work with the JSON Web Library, we need to use a JWKS client, which is here, to grab the keys and then use those keys to verify. We don't want to sign the key, we want to just verify here, okay? So what happens is this function over here, it uses a client and then it has a get key, and then that get key returns the key, which the JWT verify code is using to validate our token. So here, let's remove that. We don't want that anymore. What we need though is a JWKS RSA. We need to install that, and that is there. Let's go and grab it. I clicked on the wrong thing. I want to see what's here. Okay, yeah, we don't need that anymore. And to install, there's an npm install save. There you go. Let's open our command line. Let's install this. Necessary. And necessary evil. Unnecessary evil. Done and done. Okay, back to our code. So So here I want to say import. Again, star as JWKS client. We got what we want. So let's copy pasta some code from here. Although we'll change it a little bit, and I don't need that. I need my client. Let's instantiate our client. Why is there a weird space there? Oh, there is weird spacing here as well. I am OCD like that. And there's I know there's a shortcut, you can do it. It's fine. Please bear with me. You know, way too many AK links from memory. Yeah, thanks Robertables. Yeah, Bolt is the 45 so clippy among other things, but he is awesome. So we have, oh yeah, we need to grab our token, remember? So let's grab our token, which will be here. No, definitely not this one. I clicked on the wrong thing. We want this and this. So we want our token, we want the decoded token, and from there we'll probably grab the header. That music is super funky. So we want the header. Let's grab the header. Const header. We don't want the payload. We want the header. Header equals decoded dot header. IntelliSense is great because we're using types, and therefore we have what we need. So in the header we have the key ID, if I remember correctly. And we can also be a little bit more descriptive and say it's a JWT header. Yeah, how about that? Make Clippy great again, says Graph TNT. Thanks for joining us, Graph TNT. Or have you been there from the beginning and just silent? So the first function validates that the bearer tokens contain the required scopes, and this new function will validate the token. That's absolutely right. Ergor node, how do you pronounce that? Man, I'm struggling with names. Just joined. Okay, Graph TNT. Thanks for joining us. No shame. I was just making sure that you haven't missed anything out. Hey, I'm only lurking here today. Hey, Stefan, thanks for lurking behind. That's absolutely fine. We are working with Azure Functions and Node.js and Azure Active Directory. So we're creating secure APIs. So we have what we need here. We have the header, which will give us the information we require for the key. So next is we need to add some verify options. Equals jwt.verify. No. This is a JWT verify option equals. We just need to say that we're going to use an algorithm, which is going to be RS256, because this is what Azure Active Directory is using. If we were to go back into that URL, this is where you would find that information. And then we also want to validate some other things. So if you verify options, it says what kind of algorithm, what audience do you expect to use, who should the issuer be, and do we want to ignore something else? Also nonce and subject. So these are all can be passed into our verification process. For now, we're gonna do just the audience and the subject, and we have that information here. Oh no, did we get the 403 forbidden? Yeah, oh man, I wish I had the token there. You know what? We're gonna cheat. We're gonna come here, we're gonna, where's my, oh, there you go. There's my token hiding. So we're gonna grab this and we're going to open it in jwt.ms. Only because I want to just grab the information that should be there. So the issuer is here. Let's grab this. The issuer is our Azure Active Directory issuer. Where's my code there? Okay. Is that my Python thingy? Where am I? Well, that's my Python stuff. Is it? Where am I? Yeah, that's the Python bits. Why do I have this open? There you are. There you are, my dear. And then from here, we want to go back to the code. Too many windows. And then we want to say that the issuer is going to be, is that supposed to be an array? I don't think it's supposed to be an array. No, so it should be a string, right? Let's see. Yeah, just a string. Okay, cool. Single quotes or double quotes for JavaScript. Import JWT header, verify decode from JWT. Yeah. Is there any reason why you don't like the star? Kovats, M94, mix them up. Yeah, let's confuse everyone. Let's mix it up. Let's mix it up and create a mess. This one and then audience. We can say we want audience. Did I miss the comma? I did miss the comma there. Can you have triple quotes? No. I wonder if we can do like this. I think you can do this. You can do this, although that will break things, but you could do this. What? C# is getting triple quotes? Is that C# 11? He doesn't like the star because you're only the star here. Oh, you guys. You're cracking me up. You know who's the star here? My t-shirt. YAML. Although we've only been playing with JavaScript and JSON today. Backtick is very useful. That's absolutely right. And our audience, although this would be validated from EzAuth, since we're not doing EzAuth, yes, exactly, string interpolation for the win. You can't work without string interpolation. You're absolutely right. Single always, but I can never keep myself from mixing facepalm. Yeah, napalm, I agree. Did you say YAML? Yeah, YAML. Yelling at my laptop. That's the only thing that it stands for. Death to YAML, long live CDKs. Hello. No, it's the other YAML. Over multiple lines, semicolons or no semicolons, JS. Oh, come on. Phil Snubble is almost like saying spaces over tabs. Spaces over tabs. God. Okay, audience. Let's finish this up. What's our audience? Our audience is it's in jw.ms. That's our audience. You know what? No, that shouldn't be the audience. The audience should be this one, I think. Is that that's what's going to be the token? I thought it was just going to be not the API. Is it the API as well? No, I can't remember. I'm losing my mind. Well, if the token says this, we'll try this. Because, yeah, you're right. This is the audience. This is the resource that we're hitting. So, yeah, it's all good. Multitasking. Use the bell instead of tabs. Bell? Is it bell? Okay, so we have our verify options and a semicolon in the end because I'm a .NET developer and I like semicolons. It feels complete, you know, it completes me. So now we need to grab the client. So we have the client is here. Obviously URI is wrong and I have it stored somewhere. So let's grab that. Oh, you know what? We should also be looking for the subject. And there is guidance in the documentation about what we should be checking for. So this is the Microsoft Azure Active Directory one. For your Azure functions with Azure Active Directory B2C, this will be different. And we're using common, we're not using the specific one for our endpoint. Should be fine. So here, now that we have this, I don't want a function. I want to be a little bit more. Oh God, isn't this weird? Like, isn't this scary? Signing key. Then what do we need to get signing key. Can I look it there? Oh, it is an wearable, right? Sorry, let's make sure. Bell is asking. Okay. Not death to YAML. YAML is used in so many places. We can't kill it. It will be possible to kill it, but we can't. So const key equals await, because this is a promise, so we need to wait it. And then key, and then we want to say verify options. And then we have to say what happens to our decoded. So we have two decodeds here. So this one will be verified token. And now we need to do some error capturing. I personally dislike YAML. You don't dislike YAML. Am I being banned now? No, we are inclusive and supportive of all the languages and tools. Well, I suppose I don't dislike it more than anything else. That's a good point. Oh, look at that, look at that. Copilot is ahead of us. We're trying to do a few things. So in the sake of, so I would say here, what we want to do is to capture the error. I need an error. Let error string. Oh, come on, I keep on forgetting. Boolean. Yes, it is false. So there is a if error. Yes, I want to set it true. Oh, what is it? What is not like? Key. Okay, the following is not assignable to parameter secret or. Oh. Yes, I totally forgot about that. Typed it correctly the first time. That is impressive. Are you using, what am I using? Are you using a GitHub Copilot? I am using Ahmed Dev, and it's awesome. White space languages are challenging for me. I am very curly braced minded. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And if you look at my GitHub actions and running actions, you'll notice that I have to go and fix spaces. So it is not just you, it is for everyone else as well. And then we want to have an response. Let response be a string. And this will be empty. So here we're gonna say response equals error.message. Easy peasy. But do you have the on a new line or the same line? Oh, the curly bracket. In JavaScript, I'm following JavaScript convention. In .NET, I go next line. I like the code, it keeps it clean. Else, you know what? I want to, let's do some string interpolation, right? So here we'll say token validation error. Oh, you know what? Authorization error, and then we'll say the message. So we need that, and backtick. That's where we use backticks. For your braces, people, there's actually a Python version called Python that uses braces over new line. Oh my God. Full Snapple, that's a revelation. Or else, not less, else. We want to grab the, so response will be equals JSON stringify the verify token. I'm telling you, Copilot will take my job. And then here we want to say if error message. No, status. And we'll say error. What is? A Copilot is not playing today with this one. Error, then 403. Else will be a 200. Then comma, and then here I want to say the response is going to be response. Again, this is for verifying and validating the token. I'm not backsitting, just genuinely curious why using var with const let. Did I use var somewhere? Oh yeah, that was me copy pasting, man. That should be const there. Yeah, good point. Don't mix and match, don't mix and match, const. And then this can also be const. Do not mix your vars. Happy decision. We're setting up some OAuth today. We are at the run. We are. The first part of the stream was all about using Azure Functions with EzAuth to authenticate, and then we're validating the token. So we're doing very simple things here. God, this is, when you look at the source code, it just opens the node modules and it's a mess. So here we're saying, I assume that there's an access token that has been passed in, and then we are decoding the token. We're looking into the scopes to make sure we have the right claims, and then either return a 403 if we don't have the right scope, or return a 200 and the token back. Just parse. We're only returning this one because we don't have anything else to return. You could return anything here. You could actually return some data. Why isn't the context arrest going to be executed before the verify completes? Wait, isn't the context arrest going to be executed before the verify completes? You're absolutely right. No. Why would it execute before that? No, it doesn't. But we can actually put breakpoints in there. Oh, the other file and the other file. Here. Before the verification completes. The client still has var. Which client has var? Oh, there. Fine. You guys are so picky. It's fine. Are you talking about the context arrest is a callback function or the verify is a callback function? This one is not a callback. It will execute synchronously. So this needs to happen before this happens. Yeah, if it was async, we would have waited, but it is not. Based on the documentation, I think it can also execute asynchronously. Give me a second. Oh, no. You can get the sync asynchronously and then pass it as an awaitable here. It executes synchronously. Yeah, problem solved. That's right. And be spinning there for a while. Okay, let's run this one and see what happens. In fact, is it still running? No, it's not running. I was going to say it's still running. npm start. This still gets me confused because I would expect it to be func host start. It's not. It's npm start for node functions because it runs all these tasks. No actions were performed. Let's see if we have any error messages here. If you're seeing this one and you're like, it threw. It didn't actually throw. It's .NET 7 being a little bit messed up with the current execution. .NET 6 should not throw this, but I do not want to go back to .NET 6 because I live dangerously, and therefore this one is an error message you can ignore for now. We're fixing with the team I reached out yesterday. So this is the validate token that we need to call. So I'm going to grab that, and then I'm going to come here. Now, I'm not going to get, yeah, I know, I'm a brave man, right? Or a Sigly man. What do you think is going to happen when I call this? Anyone? Anyone? What will happen? Come on, guys. You got this. Guys and gals, friends, you got this. It's not YAML. I'm just kidding. So this one will throw because the thing has expired. 403 forbidden, but why is it forbidden? JWT expired. I got it yesterday, so it only lasts for an hour. God, I was like, am I guessing? So we know that it's expired. Let's grab a fresh token. I'm signing in, grabbing, is that there? Yes. So I got the latest token. So now we're going to execute. And I didn't want to close this window because it had my, I can see you friends here. Okay, good. Are you going to have to refresh tokens? Yeah, so because this is not code and there's no way for the refresh token to be executed, there's no way to refresh. You have to manually go and get a new token all the time. In your code, like MSAL will take care of refreshing your tokens for you. But this is just a REST client and therefore has no context. But you need to refresh every hour. That's the default expiration time. And now we can call it. Done. Success. This is what we got. There's one thing that we're not doing here. Yeah, it worked. Thanks for the confidence, Adoran. Sip it, exactly, we can sip it now. There's one thing that we're not doing here, so we shouldn't really be sipping it yet. Remember how we said EzAuth on the other one was doing the authentication? This is what we're doing here. What are we're not doing is the authorization. We're not doing the, let's look at the scopes and make sure that we have everything we need. However, now that you have the 2 bits, you can copy the code from here and add it to the other function and you should be complete. In effect, you need to copy this line from here and then add another error message that says, you know what, you called it. You know what, let's do it. We got 12 more minutes. I will do it. Let's make it complete. No half jobs. So we have the header, we have the decoded, that's the decoded there. And then we're doing the get public key, verify. Else, if there's an error message, then do that. So we're going to say not else here. We're going to remove the else from here. And then should we do it in here? I guess. I mean, we could. I mean, we have to because we have to use the verified token. Thinking now, do we want to do it in here? There will be, okay, we definitely have the expected scope. It's listening to me. I said expected scope and the first thing I came up with was expected scope. I'm telling you, Copilot is scary, scary. So that's the expected scope or scopes. It can be scopes, right? And then in here, what we want to do is else. Oh my God. Oh my God. Scary or what? Copilot is scary. Right, I'm out of job. It was nice seeing you. It's gonna publish the code. Publish the Azure function. For those that don't know what a Copilot is an extension for VS Code. That am I too zoomed in? I don't see my full. Oh, you know what? I think I have something that is requesting attention, and therefore it doesn't show my full window. Oh, there you go. So down here, you'll see there's a, where's my Copilot? Oh, wow, it's, anyway, down here, this is the future, right? This is an extension that GitHub has wrote that looks into your code and then it uses AI to build things for you or help you out. It makes you more productive. For example, I could say, what should we say? Loop through all the claims in the verified token. So it's going that. I don't know why it has comments. Cons claim in that. I think I say You know, it will write some code for you. I don't know, it's, there you go. Is it free? It is free, yeah. But no, I don't think everyone is there. You just tab it, and it's done. And then you can remove the comments. You can there's also an extension that allows you to. There's also an yeah, it is free. That's absolutely right. So anyway, what it would do here, we said, we know that the expected scope is this, then grab the token scopes, and it knows how to split it. It knows what the scope name is, scary. And then it literally just looks into the scopes and says, do we have the expected scope there? If not, then raise an error, and then authorization error message, token does not contain the required scope. And that's it. And then you should also be looking for if verified, you can also do if verified token. How would we do that? How would we do that? We need to say that if it's missing, right? We want to say that if it's missing, then we want to raise an error message. So how would that work? So here we should say, oh yeah, you know what? We can say if that is undefined, right? Error true. Scary, right? Typo, where's the typo? Oh yeah, thanks. Verified. Thank you, that's good. That's scary, right? That is, who's with me? It's my job done. Okay, so the first thing it says, if verified token is, the scope is not defined, so that the token does not include the scope, then we want to say authorization error, no scope claim found in token. And then sudo else if. The more I see, the more scared I am. Exactly, Bolt. You can do else if, else, and then this is where we want to say the response equals JSON stringify verified token. AI, that's AI for you. And then we just send the response back with the right message. And I think this is still running, so we can call it again. Send it. Done. Again, we need to verify the token, but we're done. That was it. I hope you enjoyed playing around with Node and functions and Azure. I have promised that we're going to look at automating the deployment of this into Azure. And therefore, I think for Thursday, since I don't have anything else booked, I think, we can look at using GitHub Actions to deploy this and set up EzAuth as well. You're welcome, everyone. I appreciate that. Make sure to join our Discord. Yeah, that's up to red. So our Discord is... Let me hide this so you can see my face. So our Discord is here. God, I'm directionally challenged, as Shannon said. And also, Shannon will be back next week. So I won't be doing these things solo anymore, and we're probably going to be covering some more interesting things. And we do have some exciting topics coming up for April. So stick with us. In the meantime, we're playing around and writing code and learning about things. I hope Bruce is now happy with what he saw, though it's not explicitly TypeScript, is JavaScript, it is TypeScript, which is very, 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 very close. Ergon Rod, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Thanks everyone on the Microsoft Developer channel as well. We're multicasting on both 45 Show and the Microsoft Developer channel. Thanks everyone for engaging today. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for everyone following as well. It's very nice. I have to go and do my first run after my half marathon of the weekend, so I'm dreading how I'm going to perform, but at the same time, it was fun. Hey, Radio Signal, you're welcome. Where are we going today? That's a very good point, Bolt. Where are we rating? Rockstar is streaming right now, although I think he was a little bit upset yesterday. He had some personal stuff and his stream was a little bit weird. Who wants to do some Python? Anthony writes code is doing some Python 3.11. Open source Python programming. We can do that, or we can do, let's see what Rockstar is doing. Oh yeah, it opened in a different place. He's building some extensions for creating TikToks from clips. So coming back to our stream, do you want Python? I was just about to say Rockstar. Okay, in that case, we're going to see our very good friend Rockstar. And that I need to go into dashboard, stream manager, and let's rate our very good friend Rockstar. No, yeah, Rockstar. We're doing Rockstar here. Sorry. Let's do this. Start the raid. Oh yeah, it's the Apple thing today. So if you are what's his Rockstar? Why can I not find him? Rocks K star 74. Huh. Is it case sensitive? It's not. Microsoft developer doesn't find it. Rocks. Oh no. Okay, so one of them is done. Wow. I think you can only rate people that the channel is following, channels you follow. I don't know why I can't rate other people. That's very weird. Huh. Anthony Trust. Wow. Is it only channels I follow? Is that the rule now that I can rate channels that I follow? In that case, we might have to call it a day and roll the credits and thank everyone for joining me today. Bye.